Hi and welcome back to another episode of the HT Physio Quick Tip series. My name is Will Harlow and I'm the Over-Fifties Specialist Physio here at HT Physio in Farnham. And today we're going to be talking about whether or not there's a right or a wrong way to lift things up from the floor. Now, this is a hot topic of discussion when it comes to workplaces and safety and how you should move and how you should lift. And indeed, a lot of people have spent a lot of time trying to teach others that in order to pick something up from the floor, you should keep your back straight, bend your knees, push through the heels, and then brace yourself as you lift up. So you're not using your back at all. And on one hand, the people who push this kind of information are right. That is a safe way to lift things up from the floor. But on the other hand, the situation is actually more nuanced and detailed than just that, okay? Now, the way I see it, first of all, we need to understand what can cause a back injury. And one of the main things that causes a back injury is someone moving in a way that their back has never been exposed to in the past, okay? So by exposure, I mean things that you've never done before. And we can expose our back to things that they've never done before through a combination of movements. Now, typically people injure their backs if they are, let's say they're lifting something from the floor and they're twisting at the same time. Now, if they happen to combine those two movements, the forward bend and the twist, in such a way that they've never done that before, their body might recognize that that movement is a threat and cause the back to lock up. And that's the really common way to cause a muscle spasm. So if we move in a way that we've never moved before, especially if we're not paying attention, we're not thinking about it, that can often cause a back injury. Now, does this mean that we should never move our backs in unusual ways? Not at all. The human back is very safe. It's strong and it's stable and it's designed to move in a wide variety of different ways. So the key is to expose our spines to these movements, but to do them in a safe and practiced environment. Okay, so to practice it in ways that aren't likely to cause us injury. That typically means doing it in a controlled motion without trying to lift anything up, so without adding any resistance, and just asking our spines to do various movements, okay? Now you might be thinking, well, what are you talking about here? Okay, this sounds all a bit foreign. Well, if I was to lift something up from the floor, and I was to ask you to lift something up from the floor as well, if we did the exact same lift, in the exact same way, and the weight we were lifting from the floor was the exact same, there would be a different risk of injury between me and you. And the reason those injury risks would be different is not just because maybe we have a difference in age. The reason there's an injury risk would be that perhaps I've exposed myself to that movement before, so my back and my brain recognizes the movement and says, it's fine, we have control over this movement, our muscles can cope with the demands. And on the other hand, perhaps you have never exposed yourself to that movement or that lift or that object you're picking up from the floor. And your brain and your back have never recognized this situation before. So they go, I don't know what's going on here, but it feels dangerous. And in order to protect this person, I'm going to lock up all of the muscles and put the back into spasm. Now, once your back goes into spasm, it's not just a case of being in pain for a few days, as most of you who've experienced this will know. Often the symptoms can rumble on for a very long time and they can come back as well. So trying to avoid these circumstances is very important. So one way I'd encourage people to safeguard themselves from having these issues happen in the future is to try and perform a nice wide range of movements of your spine when you're not under any resistance or under any pressure. So do them in nice, safe environments. So for example, you might start off sitting and you can practice bending forward while sitting. And then you can practice bending forward and twisting while sitting. And you can do both sides. And you can slowly start to increase the different movements you do of your spine from a nice, safe, seated position. So that would be a nice early stage at improving the safety of lifting from the floor. You would then progress that by moving onto your feet. So standing and then pretending to go down and pick something up from the floor with a small twist. Obviously, you're never going into a position where it feels painful. You're just going into new, unusual ranges that you haven't done before. Now, an advanced way to progress that after you've gone through this kind of process would be to add in some kind of resistance. So picking something up from the floor, maybe lifting a very small weight in those same movements. The key here is we're trying to show our brains and our spines that these movements are safe. Okay, if you pick something up from the floor with a twist and you don't hurt your back, then you've proven to your brain and you've proven to your back that that movement is not inherently dangerous. And that means that next time you do it, you're also going to most likely be able to do it without causing any problems. So the key here, ladies and gents, is to just very gradually and slowly expose your body to different movements, maybe things that you're not used to doing. They do get easier over time, and as they get easier, they also become safer. And just to give you sort of a funny example, I've worked with bodybuilders in the past, so very strong guys, all right, really, really muscular. And when these guys are just bending up and picking things up from the floor, they can pick up hundreds of pounds worth of weight. Now, some of these bodybuilders come to see me with a bad back, and believe it or not, they injured their back by picking up a piece of paper from the floor. And you might be thinking, how on earth can someone who's that strong injure their back by picking up a piece of paper? Well, the reason is they just exposed their back to a strange combination of movements. As they were bending forward to pick up the paper, the back said, well, we've never done this before, we're not ready for these demands, and it locked up. So if it can happen to these guys, it can happen to anyone. It's not because, on most occasions, it's not because your back has got any wear and tear or injuries like that. It's just because you've exposed it to something you haven't done before. And the key to preventing these things from happening is a slow, gradual exposure to things that might seem unusual at first. Anyway, I hope that's made sense. It's quite a complex topic, but maybe that's given you some insight as to how to safeguard your ability to pick things up. If you want more tips like this one and more facts about the human body that you can apply to improve your own health, you can pick up a copy of my book, Thriving Beyond 50. It has a load of strategies in there to help you improve your mobility and your fitness in your 50s and beyond. But other than that, thank you for watching. Please do hit like on this video beneath the video here, and also subscribe to the channel so you'll get more videos like this when they come out. And thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you on the next video.